And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We're gonna start streaming in about a minute. Today's... Yeah, that's my co-presenter. She's got her 15 seconds of fame, this being Saturday. Today's stream is one of the first weekly streams, so we used to do an English language stream and then a Russian language stream week after week, but as we move closer to the limited early access launch, we're gonna do English language stream every week and Russian language stream every week, and hopefully eventually at some point Japanese and Chinese, but that has to wait until we get someone on the team to actually speak those languages. We can do German, but probably not enough interest to do that. So today we're going to talk about a very specific issue, which is the world of Rund and the world map as it is in the game and the distribution of resources. And we're going to show you the whole world that is generated in the campaign from scratch as you launch. So let me transition to the game. Yep. All right. So nothing fancy here. If you have not seen a video called Basics, then you can go and watch it, and it explains the basic interface and the basics of the role-playing system of the game. What is important right here is that every time you start a new campaign, and let's see what we're gonna... I don't know, what are we gonna do? Do you guys want to have a female mage or a male mage? A strong one. Oh, here's a sharp-sided glutton, a coward, but also careful. So, well, I mean, careful in the sense that when he reads the book, he takes very good care of making sure that he does not damage that book. Optimist, generous, night owl, and coward. So he's an optimist, but he's a coward. Whew. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. Let's go for her. She's envious light sleeper whose intelligence is above average, who's very strong in willpower, average memory, average charisma, average intuition, and not enough health. So let's go. Anyway, while it's loading, every time you launch a campaign, you start in a new world. The world is generated right now. This is why it takes a bit of time. That we're building the whole continent and the seas and the rivers and the cities and towns, and the resources are seeded. If you want to replay the same world map, then you can take a map seed from the existing save or load and type it as you start the game. That will allow you to replay the same thing. For example, you lost, but you felt like you could win, so you reload it with a map seed. And I think, yep, right here at the bottom you see the map seed is 553449, whatever it means. All right. Here, my goal is to show you the world and how the resources are spread out and basically what you have to deal with. So I'm going to cheat and I'm going to open the whole thing, not at once. I don't know that cheat code. I only know a cheat code that opens a little bit of that. So let's see. Here's the Spire, and what do we see? We have wood, which is a basic building material, construction material. Let's say you want to upgrade the library, costs you 20 wood. So we gotta sort of, you know, get it to upgrade your Spire. Then we have some gifts of nature, nourishment 15, that's about a half of the standard ration. It's a bit healthy, but you get a chance to get food poisoning. So normally people don't really eat that unless they travel through. You'll send someone here and they will forage, and then they will produce rations based on that. Then we have something called exotic meat, which has not been researched yet. So to actually collect that, we have to go here to Monstrology and then find the exotic meat, which is skill level 3, so only my mage can do this research. Then we've got hidden root. Hidden root, if you can see in the left top corner of the item, there's nothing here, so that's a basic resource. It's extremely common to the world. Here you have uncommon, and here you have rare. So it's pretty rare to have a rare resource next to your Spire. On top of each resource, you have the alchemic property of that resource. So here it's regular raw food, and here it's exotic raw food. And here it's exotic raw food, as well as life, as well as depressing. At the bottom of the screen, and I'm gonna turn off my camera right now so I don't distract you. Yoo-hoo! Yep. So at the bottom of the screen, you can see the whole list of alchemic properties of Ruined, going from the common to uncommon to rare and to very rare. So this is can't really get the tooltips, but some of those are cows and order and all that stuff. So here you see that you've got 10 of those on your warehouse, 10 items that have this property. Why do you need the property? Because you go to alchemy and then any kind of, well, we don't really have anything open, right? So let me show this on the example of kitchen. Oh yeah. So here, this recipe requires one item with regular raw food and one item with the property spicy. Once I have those, I can do it. You see, if I had garlic, if I had salt, if I had something else, which I know what this is called wild spices, then I could do it, but I cannot do it right now. So this is how the world works in the game, is in every new campaign, different items get different properties. Here, Hidden Root has the property of life. In the next campaign, it could have maybe a property of death. So every time you play, you have this kind of exploration thing that you have to do from scratch to understand how the world works. Now, let's open the world and see how we are. Every time you start the game, you start in the ancient forest. That's a given. Like, this is a basic thing. Let me try to get myself back in here. Yep, right, all right. So ancient forest takes a long time to go through, and it has some dangerous inhabitants. So this is a tree bleeder, this is a forest cat, here's another tree bleeder, and then we have some villages, and going to the west, we enter the territory of the Empire. We're still fine-tuning the seeding algorithm and the way that you're generated. We are mostly successful in this, so let me sort of go off, right? So here are the hills and the hills, and then more hills. So that is not expected. Like, I would expect here on the eastern side to be more of the ancient forest, and there it is. And then there's the swamp and everything else. So I would say this is an uncommon map of the world as generated right now. Let's see how many resources we have. So of the common resources like meat and gifts of nature, there's plenty of those. Then there is some more. Let's say flax. Flax is pretty common. Lots of meat, lots of fish whenever you're close to the river, to the lake. Then you have some of those which are less common. This is belladonna, it's pretty common. You have sources of power which you can take under your control and increase the magic energy. Here's the magic energy as it comes into use. So at the moment you only get it from Spire, and your total is 100. You can have more stuff coming in, and then you'll need to upgrade your magic storage thing so you can store more energy. Right now our maximum is at 300, so we cannot have 300 more than 300 magic energy at once. You get lots of caves to explore, and catacombs and ruins. Everywhere in ruins and catacombs and the caves you have loot boxes, or let's say chests that contain certain loot. It could be books, it could be items, and could be anything. The more, as a general rule, the more valuable is the loot, the more dangerous is the protection, whether or not it's a trap or the pale ones sticking around, or a group of bandits, or some other sort of form of protection. So you will encounter certain caves and catacombs that you cannot really enter right now. So let's see what happens to the west. Generally, we move to the Empire and we can see vegetables. So finally you'll be able to buy some vegetables here. Right now we're not very happy. That's a bridge. We're not very happy with the distribution of resources. We went through different options, and generally right now we feel like there's not enough, so that it speeds down your progress. I'm also not a big fan of this specific map, so maybe I'll just regenerate another one, because this is not a really representative. The ancient forest is not huge, and I wouldn't really save this map seed, to be honest, because there's the swamp, there's a lot of swamp area here, and I don't like it personally. There's the danger specific to the swamp, and then there's more ancient forest, and then we enter into distorted lands. So let me do it this. Not really happy with this map, so let me close it and relaunch a different campaign. Alright, so let's go with you and let's start the game. So while it's loading, I'll tell you more. The motivation to explore the world comes from the need to produce certain alchemic things, brews, that require certain ingredients. Whether or not it's going to be food, or it's going to be an ointment to cure you, or it's going to be a certain potion that increases your stats, or ultimately the elixir of youth. So you'll always go hand in hand. You just researched a certain recipe, and to produce something based on that recipe, you need a certain property. And then you look on the map and you see, do I know where I can mine that property? No? Okay, then I have to go and explore and find it. So let's see how different things are here. We got fish, we got gifts of nature. That's more to my liking. There's a swamp beast, so that's the first danger. I wouldn't really try to venture here. And also crossing the swamps will require you to produce certain equipment, like swamp boots and bedrolls, and also to know survival, so when you camp, you're not attacked by black paws or creepers. Here's sting. Yep, sorry, now you see it. Here's stingtails, also dangerous guys. Mushroom eaters. So this map is more, I would say, traditional and classic. There's the idol. Idol basically accumulates magic energy that you can consume. So let's see what the world offers to us. Here we enter distorted lands, so that's the border. Going up, lots of ancient forest, ruins, some dangerous animals, urls. Urls are pretty nice. The slugs, you can hunt them for meat. You can also hunt them for their fat. Let's go here. Lots of stuff to explore. That's the regular forest. Not so dangerous as the ancient one. As you see lots of common resources. So at a first glance, it seems like there's a lot. But once you start playing and the recipe calls for a specific thing, let's see what we have here in the alchemy. Purging brew, war medicine, and healer's mixture. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and have my mage do some research. She's really good in alchemy, so I'm gonna research, well, let's say, even a basic thing like a war medicine, okay? She will do it, and she will do it, and I'm gonna do a maximum of 12 hours. Let's go ahead and let the game play as we discover. So here we enter farmlands. Farmlands are more dangerous. You have a higher chance of encountering someone who's not going to be happy with you. You can also buy books and buy some resources there. Plains and hills. And finally we reach the sea. So traveling through the inhabited area and the area generally that is within the empire is not a brilliant idea, unless it's a late game and you're well equipped to fend off an attack of someone. Basically, you have dangerous fauna like stingtails, and you also have dangers of encountering soldiers and Inquisition and all that. So moving closer to home, we go through regular forest, lots of caves to explore, lots of ruins, some resources to mine. The travel time through the inhabited areas, especially on the roads, is pretty easy. Alright, so we have warm medicine. And now let's take a look, what does it take to produce warm medicine? Oh. Alright, poisonous and antiseptic. So poisonous would be here. That's I need the mushroom. Okay, so that's still quite far away from the spire actually. Here's the spire. So poisonous. This is antiseptic, okay, so I can collect burnet for antiseptic, but for poisonous, where's the closest poisonous item that I can discover? I cannot really see anything. Here. Okay, here's the mushroom. So basically, between these two ingredients, it'll take me probably about a week to collect those two and then mix them together and produce some of the brew in my alchemic room. That is not so bad actually, but we see more cases where it's more difficult, and the big question we ask ourselves is, what sort of balance do we want in the game? Do we want situations where in certain campaigns you're not able to produce a specific thing at all? You're not, because the resources generated so far that you're not really able to access them. Do we want this or do we not? It's an open question. We would like to think that the difference in how you play different campaigns should not be based on how the resources were seeded, but on how you chose to spend your time. Do you want to go more through the magic thing, or do you want to go through regular exploration? Do you want to rely heavy on alchemy, or do you want to rely heavier on something else? So here's a pretty rare resource. I don't even know what it is. But it's something in the swamps, and it's almost at the edge of the world, so it'll take a long time to get there. Alright, so moving along the coast, lots of common resources, lots of fish. But if I turn off the display of food, and let's say locations, and only leave the alchemy and the resources, and even resources I don't need, like I don't want to see, then suddenly we can see that there's not really a lot. There's not so much. Yep, just a few. Like you travel for a week to cross the screen and you don't really discover much. And then you do discover some stuff, but snakehead is pretty common. So here we enter again the ancient forest. Dangerous place. And now we enter into distorted lands. So distorted lands, think of them as something that has certain radiation. Every day that you spend in distorted lands, your disciples take certain damage. So you do not go there until you mastered the defense against that. Now, this is a biome within the biome. Within distorted lands, you have a couple of unique biomes. This is battlefields. It's a sketch. We're still working on that. And then as we go up, we may find another biome specific to distorted lands, which would be black pools right here. Yep. So black pools are the source of a very special ingredient, which you may or you may not need for your elixir of youth. And here's the other specific biome. It's the rusted forest. And we have in the plan a number of creatures and ingredients that are available in the rusted forest. So basically, entering distorted lands through the ancient forest and the swamp is difficult already. And then going from here to here is even more challenging. There's ruins, probably a lot of great loot there, but as far as I can see, not a lot of great resources. So I wouldn't really it wouldn't really be worth my trouble to go there, except for these two sources of magic, so I can get even more magic. The same for those pools. Now, it's pretty much, I think you got the idea of the scope of the world or of the size of the world. If I were to travel from one edge to the other, it'll take me probably a month and a half So no one really has, you know, time to idly spend a month and a half traveling there and back, think of all the supplies that you need, think of all the risks that you need, and so on. And the big question right now that we have is, we're happy with the way that the food is seated. There's enough food. You will not go hungry, and food does not become a struggle as you play. We are okay with the resources, so let me turn off the food option. All right, we've got some wood, got some flax. It's all right. And then you get some hides and furs, which will allow you to craft clothing. In terms of alchemy, I don't think we're happy. And this is what we're trying to figure out right now. Should we simplify the resources? Should we speed up the research? Should we seed more resources, alchemic resources, across the world? This is what we tend to think, is that we want you to make choices in the sense of, do I want to invest my time and the time of my disciples there or there, as opposed to, oh, I cannot do this because I lack the resource, I cannot do this because I lack the resource, I cannot do this, so I only have to do this. What we would love to do is we'd love to have the same map seed replayable in different ways. If we have a map seed that has only one way of playing, then we don't really like it. We think that that is not a very replayable game. I mean, it is replayable, like, you know, from map to map, you will have different playing experience, but we don't really like it. We feel like this doesn't really give you enough freedom of expression of how you want to play that, and ideally we want to have the world that can be played the same map in different ways. If we are able to do this, then great, then we've done our job well. That's pretty much everything I wanted to show you today. Previously in the basics video, we've gone over the different interface and the rooms and so on. For the next week's stream, we'd like to show you different resources. What do they mean? What kind of groups do they belong? For example, here you don't really see any minerals or precious stones, because those are hiding in the caves and in the ruins and in the catacombs, so you have to dig to get them. So you have to explore and then you have to find them. So that's something we want to focus in the next stream, is to give you a basic idea of what kind of resources exist in the world, what kind of groups, what sort of equipment, so you can understand. Now you can see the world. Here's the minimap. So you can see how the world transitions from the Empire to the Ancient Forest. And next week we want to show you how the world is made in terms of resources and what you can operate, what is right now in the game. So for example, this is a late game. The distorted lands, the rusted forest, the battlefields, and it's not very much populated right now because we haven't come around to fine-tuning this part. We're mostly fine-tuning the part that is in the immediate early game. Once we've done that, we will launch. So that's pretty much what prevents us from launching next week, is that we want to get a better feel of the balance of the world that makes us happier than we are right now, and then make sure that we can play the whole campaign from start to finish a few times and have a more or less satisfactory experience. And then we're going to launch, and then we're going to get your feedback. And early access is an exciting time when we get lots of ideas that we can implement and tweak the game from, let's say, basically good to hopefully great. But we're not at the basically good stage yet. It's still a bit raw. So that's where we are right now. Now, thanks for watching this video, and we'll be back next week on Friday with another brief topical stream. And I'm going to launch the transition. Thank you.